rock me to my soul. Shake it some, dancing and having fun. She's a shaker, she can shake it some, dancing and having fun. And whoa, she rocks me to my soul. Whoa, whoa, rock me to my soul. Oh, rock me to my soul. Oh, you rock me to my soul.
Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm Patch Adams. Before I start, I like to tell my audiences that I answer all my mail. I've never used a computer, don't have a cell phone. But if you go to our website, I don't know how to go to our website, but I'll bet you do. Go to patchadams.org. My address is there. I'm particularly interested in people who want to write me if you're hurting and need a friend, or you're thinking about helping change the world to peace and justice and are feeling confused on how to do that. Write me. You can also really argue with me and hate everything I say. Okay. Oh, you're not hearing me back there?
You want to bet?
Okay. I don't want to say move closer.
Okay. You want me to be this loud? Holy schmoly. Okay.
Have it with him, and it's going to be his tool.
So this is better. This is
$5.
squat.
So you're the witness.
Okay. I'm scheduled tomorrow to talk about our work with a narrative. And so this is an add-on towards the end. And so I thought, how about an open forum? What if you had a really radical thinker ready to tackle things, and if you don't have something you would like him to tackle, then he will say things that will be provocative that you'll want to tackle. So that's what you have the opportunity for. And if you don't all rush up with something to explore, I will say some things. Okay? I am 66. I grew up in a military family overseas on Army bases. My father died from war when I was 16. We moved back to the U.S. in 1961. I was put in an all-white school and was beaten up most every day my last 2 years because I took a stand. That put me in 3 mental hospitals in a year. And the third one I said, cut this crap. You don't kill yourself, you make revolution. Yes. So I'm here to end market capitalism, what I believe will be the probable cause of our extinction this century. I don't say that lightly. I don't actually think it's an opinion. It's a huge lifetime of research. So let's see, so far we're still quiet. All righty then. So another thing that's been really concerning me this year. I think I'm scheduled to be the whole thing here. Oh yeah, shit is used to it. A person, yes, with a direction.
It's cool.
So about like love. So what if love is something that's like if other people see green and everybody else sees red, and like don't really understand what love is. It's kind of like a light
I think we need to have everybody hear what you're saying. Try again.
Well, what I was talking about was people's vision of... Okay, fine. People's vision of love is that some people think that it's almost like if you are born thinking red is green and green is red. So whenever anybody says that a Christmas tree is green, then you see it as red, but you have the same interpretation is that it's green. I don't think that the concept of love is too much different than that. What do you say?
Let me take a little poll here. Raise your hand if you think there is anything more important in your life than loving.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I'm trying to give you a background because I've thought about love every day, all day long, for 66 years, so I need to help you with just...
But you said 66 years, but I'm saying that it's definitely subjective.
Well, duh. I will give you my opinion, okay? And so I want to poll you. Raise your hand if you can think of anything more important in your life than loving. Okay.
Oh, we got one. We got one.
In my asking, in 70 countries, about 30 million people, about 10 people have raised their hand.
11.
Okay? Which mathematically is not a very significant number.
When we're in our own, like, cultural milieu, we're all kind of in the same place at the same time. Regardless of where we is there.
Is there actually something you want me to address? Okay, because I'm not actually clear what you want to address.
He's right there by his mixing board.
You mean like when he was born?
I was just there. He's right there. I'm looking right at him.
Yes. No, I actually have all of his books. Thank you. Okay, but I'm actually looking for a direction. Now, if you're talking about Foucault's look at mental illness, let me give you some ideas about mental illness. Okay? For example, one of the things people don't like me saying is that depression is never an illness. Depression is a symptom of loneliness. And that depression is a pharmaceutical diagnosis. A very important book was written this year by Robert Whitaker called Anatomy of an Epidemic. And it's been reviewed in 2 articles in the latest New York Review of Books by the former editor-in-chief of the New England Journal of Medicine. And basically what he is saying is that, and this is also what I've studied, that there is no scientific basis for any mental illness, not a single one, and that none of the diagnoses actually are a thing. And so, that should tick off something.
That's what I'm trying to say, is that it's all temporally subjective, right? It depends.
Does that mean I should sit down?
No, it means that you're exactly right. It's dependent on whatever you grow up with, whatever your domestication is.
And is there... Yes.
I found that when people have asked for help, when they are hooked on heroin or chronically drunk, that I've been unable to give any assistance to them, and the normal regimen is to dry out first.
Well, I mean, my experience is that whoever I am, I have made. And that each person is making themselves. And a person who is addicted to heroin and alcohol has to make the decision to stop. Unless you want to tie them to a tree and wait until they're detoxed and then see if they go back to it, or lock them up or something. That I actually haven't seen anyone... I don't know how to make a person have an exercise program. I don't know how to make them go off heroin. What I can say is that you can make a decision to be exactly who you decide to be. And that's what I think is true about our life. And I'll give you a little formula, 2 formulas where that is true for me. The first is gratitude. If you want to have great mental health, be grateful. Swim in it. As I say poetically, after I left my 3rd mental hospitalization, I dove into the ocean of gratitude and I never found the shore. Okay, so I'm swimming and I am grateful. I'm grateful before I held those 2,000 children dying of starvation in my arms, okay? And it actually isn't any more grateful that I have. I am grateful. So if you want mental health, be grateful.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that one option, and it's just an option, you can completely ignore everything I'm saying, but one option is that you can decide to be exactly who you want to be, and be that by using 3 words: intention, performance, and consequences. For example, I will be loving. Okay? I am not saying I hope to be loving. I'll try to be loving. I could be loving. I should be loving. No, I am saying I will be loving in the same way that you can say, I will raise my right hand, I'll raise my right hand, I'll raise my right hand, I'll raise my right hand. You are in charge. And so having an intention, I will be loving, there's no alternative. In Buddhism, it might be called mindfulness. You decide to be present with the making of yourself. And so having an intention, you then look at the infinite number of possible performances you have to put that intention forward. From all your life experience, from everything you've ever studied, from your love of improvisation, that you try to find that performance in that moment with all of the circumstances that best puts your intention forward. And how do you know? You look at the consequences. You don't like the consequences, you change the performance. And if you do that, you can make a decision and be that. That's how easy it is. Bummer. I'm sorry. But you'll notice today, unless you maybe are too altered, that when you have to take a crap, you're going to get up no matter what is happening and eventually make it. 98% of the people here, probably, no matter who they are, what your preference is or whatever that is. So there's an extremely good chance that you at least have it down that you're going to try to crap in a toilet, okay, or behind a tree or something. And so that's what I'm talking about, that one option is to pay as close attention to your mind as you do to your toilet.
Me in the cold and pouring rain. You gotta open up your door, baby, and take away my aching pain. I was just having a little fun. I was just having a little fun. I was just trying to have me a little bit of fun before I die. Now how can you go to sleep now that your soul has been awakened? It truly breaks my heart to see the innocence that you have taken. I was just trying to ease your mind. I was just trying to ease your mind. I was just trying to ease your troubled mind before I die.
Area in Humboldt County for people that are trying to stop drinking, that have made the choice to stop drinking but have been drinking for a long time. They're giving something called lorazepam and something else called Ativan. What's your thought about if that's necessary or if there's something more natural? I don't really know.
I mean, it's a personal opinion. I have no respect for psychiatric diagnosis of any kind, and no respect for any psychiatric medicine. There hasn't been a positive book written about a pharmaceutical company in 40 years. And that there's a level of lying, and I'm really asking you, it's just introductory. My library has about 1,800 books on the mind and psychology and psychiatry, and so it's really ugly, the world of psychopharmaceuticals. And why not create beautiful places for people to dry out with, where it's an environment of love, tenderness, of art and nature, and that you devote time enough to a person in these horrible situations to see if in any given moment they want to try again, to be dry. I think things like Alcoholics Anonymous is for some people and it's done really good work, but there are many roads to being sober and heroin free. And again, a lot of it is somehow triggering your intention. I will not hit up. I will not take another drink. And there are huge numbers, if you actually look into that world, there are huge numbers of people doing many wonderful and unusual kinds of experiences to try to get there, because it is a huge problem. Yes?
If you're familiar with it, are you familiar with it was by a Polish psychologist, positive disintegrative psychology? Are you familiar with that?
You know, I may not know the label, but I'll bet you if you described it, I know it.
Well, there's no diagnoses in it, and
I'm there with the no diagnosis.
And when dealing with people who are having difficulty in working with their world, they might have there's many facets. One is everybody tends to have overexcitabilities in different areas. Like people might be oversensitive to noises or touch or different things, and so it's about looking at their sensitivities and just supporting them to cope with the world in finding strategies that work for them according to your first three principles.
Right. I mean, it's a fancy name for close friend, not giving up. I mean, at least in my understanding of it, that a friend is looking for intelligent solutions for you to try again something else, for you to work out to get to this drug-free state. And bless it, you know, it's a hellish thing to work with. I mean, no one has a breathtaking record that I know of, and a lot of things do great things. So I still have felt ultimately that a person has to look themselves in the mirror and say, I'm not going to drink anymore, and please hold me up and I can reach for you instead of reaching for the drink or God or you know, nature, hug a tree.
And outside of changing behaviors when dealing with what might be called a condition in the body, what's your observations around correlations with regard to psychological issues and irritable bowel syndrome?
You know, Freud, in one of his last books, Civilization and Its Discontent, said that maybe mental illness is a healthy response to a messed up society. And that certainly ranks with what I know about mental illness. It is right when you grow up in a human society and see that we actually have dumbed ourselves down enough to be able to watch television. I mean, just for example, my own personal feeling. Or that we actually can come to the conclusion to work for a really rich company to go and risk our life so that they can get richer, and call that government or intervention or things like that. And you grow up and you start seeing a value system. What happened to me is I grew up thinking this was the United States, and then I saw that black people couldn't use a toilet or a drinking fountain. So I realized our country was fake and religion was fake. So I think it's really important to find meaning in one's life. The meaning I know most is to give of yourself to loving care for people, nature, and that you find the richest not in your power that you have or your money, but in the experience of bliss that you have with one friend, young. The way you know you have a friend is you can't be mentally ill, because you're thinking of your friend so strongly that there's actually no room for you to think of something painful. I'm just giving you my definition of friend. It's a possession. The Christian calls it full of the Spirit. I don't know anything about God, but I certainly know something about friend. I know I can't suffer. I have a friend.
Having a good fair. Blowing deep and wide.
Had some good entertainment, it looks like.
Mississippi River.
Never leave here, really.
Blowing deep and wide.
Where is this? It's a little bigger. It's right here. I can't put
Come
the
the
fair sign. It's a lot
springtime,
bigger.
we'll be stacking sandbags side by side.
You're staying for the
Can you talk into the phone,
when
sir?
we were talking about heroin, I had a terrific friend, chef, that worked with me for 30 years and opening every restaurant I've ever opened, which is a bunch of them. And he was a pretty successful heroin addict in that he just couldn't stop. But I just couldn't give up also. So no matter how much he kept going back into it, I would be with him closer to help him come back out of it. And as long as I did that, we created a rhythm. And not that he expected me to do it, or counted on me, because he'd reached a point to where he really wanted the help, but needed somebody to lean on to help him out of it. And I never saw that as a weakness. I saw that as the drug. And the weakness would have been me stopping to lend myself to him. But he was such a fantastic chef. Eventually he passed away. And I just think that that is such a factor in it, is your own giving of yourself and never giving up. You know, we have a lot of friends, and that notion of, well, you know, at a certain point I'm just going to give up. And I think especially that's the moment. Try not to give up. And I hate giving up on my friends.
Yeah, and hell yes, you know, I work for peace. It's never happened. You know, justice. Talk about working for something and never giving up, you know. I want a world where a woman never has to fear a man. You know. Okay, yeah, work for things that... And it's juicy, you know. I've tried to build a hospital for now over 40 years, and this last month I started. So, you know, there's a high in not giving up. You know, my longest hug with a patient was 12 hours. And I would have gone longer. So the thing is, giving up. So I'm with you. Hey, you got a kidney. That's right. Yes.
I got a Bible in my home. I got a Bible in my home. I don't read it, my soul gets lost. Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but mine. I don't read it, my soul gets lost. Nobody's fault but mine.
Patch, new issue of the Mind Freedom Journal. Wanted you to get a copy of it.
I love you for it.
Yeah, and
what a blessing David is.
Thank you. I want to appreciate the Gesundheit Institute. When Patch came out and spoke to our group of psychiatric survivors in Washington, D.C. in 1992, Gesundheit Institute has been a sponsor group in our coalition supporting human rights of people in the mental health system, psychiatric survivors, activists. But I want to phrase my question this way. I get a lot of calls in our office. I'm a community organizer for 35 years of psychiatric survivors. So I get a lot of calls from people that need my time, Dave, I need to connect with you, I need to tell your story. And there's a little thing I talked to you on the phone about, this little bit of celebrity-itis. And I probably have like this much celebrity-itis. I can only imagine what it would be like in your position. I mean, it feels to me after 35 years that there's a lot of islands and we need bridges and canoes to connect these islands. And like one of them is Mind Freedom, and all of our groups, our 100 groups. It's our 25th year this year, and I'm talking to Carl Hammerschlag. What could we do to support what you're doing and play in the same sandpit sometime, you know, once in a while?
You know, my goal is a world where no one alive can remember what the word war means. They have to look it up in a dictionary. And so, the most intense way you can help me is to be radiantly happy from the moment you wake up till the moment you go to bed, no matter what. As Shakespeare said in Othello, the rob who smiles steals something from the thief. And so that you know, if you really want to help me, yeah, it's nice to donate to our project, and you know, we will show a hospital operating at 10% of the cost, and it'll be you'll see me right at the forefront of no psychiatric medicine. I'm going to die as a family doctor, never having given it. And so, you know, and help whatever local projects there are, decide to give your life to service. I mean, these are things, and none of them are as hard as you deciding that you're going to be radiantly, disgustingly, revoltingly happy every day, all day long, the rest of your life for peace and justice. No time off. Okay, so you want a more relaxed assignment? Make large donations to people helping the world.
Okay, then I'll just put in a plug, Patch. May 5th, 2012. Patch, May 5th, 2012, the American Psychiatric Association is having their annual meeting in Philadelphia, and that's where they're going to adopt the new DSM, their label Bible, that they're printing in 2013. And so we're saying, and you're the one that can help us figure out how to do this. We just know we want to do it.
That would be civil disobedience.
That's right. Civil disobedience is civil disobedience to boycott normal. Building to May 5th, 2012, wherever you are, that we boycott normal, that we put ourselves nonviolent. It was in the peace movement, it was in the wilderness movement. It's time to nonviolent, direct action, creativity directly in front of this kind of oppression at the wherever you are in the world. But I hope to be in Philadelphia, but wherever you are.
I have a feeling you want to be a little cautious here about complaining against normal because it's an effort to try to get something legal.
Oh,
but,
no, we have the correct spelling. I'm talking about the correct spelling, normal.
Okay.
Yeah. I hear you. I actually ended up in the psych facility.
I don't know anyone normal. Do we have a normal here we can interview?
I'm normal.
Oh, good. Patch, we're trying to have a preserve for the last normal person.
Yes, right age for it.
So, if someone wants to be normal, they've got to lower their expectations.
And increase their anticipations. Thank you. And what is the doctor's name?
Nobody.
I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair, don't tell. They'll advertise someday. How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog. To tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. So, I'm not sure that means you're a bog. But that was a nobody. Yes, how we doing? Okay? You know, I also can recite poetry because I know hours of it by heart. But I'm really here to change the world. Yes, ma'am.
It seems for people that feel like they can't work, that if they are applying for disability, the only way that they can be approved for disability is if they're taking psych drugs or some other kind of drug. Do you have something to say about that?
Do I have something to say about that?
Yes.
Sure you do.
Well, I'm saying that the pharmaceutical companies own our nation. Okay? So the day after the health care reform bill passed, pharmaceutical company stocks went way up. Okay, they own the decisions. And so they want to make sure that in order for you to get your welfare, that you have to be taking psychiatric medicine. And what an ideal, right? Fabulous. Good job for the pharmaceutical companies when the information on the effect of those psychotropic medications is hell. I consider it malpractice. It's an opinion. Okay, remember, I'm saying you can decide today to be mentally, disgustingly mentally healthy every day of your life, for the rest of your life. How about a few poems on the subject? Okay, this is Mary Oliver's poem, Wild Geese. You don't have to be good. You don't have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination. Calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. I'm sorry, you're a member. Turn down, rip up your card, you're still a member. A haiku kind of says it really simply. My house burned down today. Oh, I have a much better view of the lake. And again, back to Shakespeare and Othello, he said this: when remedies are past, the griefs are ended, by seeing the worst, which late on hope depended. To mourn a mischief that is past and gone is next way to draw new mischief on. You know, I mean, you actually don't know. If you're suffering, there's probably something in your past. You just haven't said, past. That would be that way. Sorry. You know, it's hard to give up your suffering because if you've had it a long time, there's a really good chance you've grown to like it. And that you're at least familiar with it. And that a new territory of waking up going, woo-hoo, yeah. How about Mary Ann Moore, her poem, What Are Years? What is their innocence? What is their guilt? All are naked. None is safe. And whence is courage? The unanswered question, the resolute doubt, dumbly calling, deftly listening, that in misfortune even death encourages others, and in its defeat stirs the soul to be strong. He sees deep and is glad who accedes to mortality, and in his imprisonment rises upon himself as the sea in a chasm, struggling to be free, and unable to be, in its surrendering, finds its continuing. So he who strongly feels behaves. The very bird, grown taller as he sings, steals his form straight up. Though he is captive, his mighty singing says, satisfaction is a lowly thing. How pure a thing is joy. Being who you are is not a disorder. Being unloved is not a psychiatric disorder. I can't find being born in the diagnostic manual. I can't find being born to a mother incapable of touching you. I can't find being born on the shock treatment table. Being offered affection and unqualified safety and respect when and only when you scored dope for your father is not a disease. And putting your head down and crying your way through elementary school is not a mental illness. On the contrary. And seeing a psychiatrist for 15 minutes per month, some sub-doormat psychiatrist writing for just what you need, lots more pills to pay his mortgage, Lexus lease, and child's future tuition while pondering which wine to serve for dinner is not effective treatment for friendless and permanent sadness. Child, your 6th mile is the doorway to sleep. Abandoned naked and thrown to the world is not a disease. She was unhappy. just as I was, only not as lucky. Okay.
Thing to say for people when the feeling of discouragement descends.
Whenever I feel afraid, I hold my head erect
and whistle a happy tune,
so no one will suspect I'm afraid. I mean, my style is to learn a lot of really disgustingly peppy songs to sing to discourage people to where I'm like, they're, get away from me. You know, so really peppy songs. I mean, what a self-indulgent bunch of crap discouragement is. Poor me. Oh yeah, life is short, guys. How many poor me days do you want? You know, oh God, the hospital wasn't built in a year. Let me tell you a good reason for our hospital to take 40 years to get built. Imagine if you had 40 years and a lot of crisp minds working together to create your fantasy as opposed to a year. So we're good at failing and using it for good purpose. And so discouragement, I actually don't have any personal experience with discouragement, because in living from intention, like you heard me talk about, when is discouragement ever a performance that'll put your intention forward? I don't have any intentions, but discouragement is a meaningful performance. I'm here to seduce with high energy, love, and let's get to work, for crying out loud. Woo! Yeah, baby!
Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I'm gonna study war and war. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Hear that trumpet.
You know, I want bad business. I've never made a penny in 40 years in medicine, and I am a trillionaire.
I just had something to say. I didn't have a question. I spent an hour with my naturopath, and she fixed for me something that all the doctors at our, HMO couldn't fix in 4 years. And she gets paid like a fraction of what they make per minute. And everybody knows that, and we all know that we're wasting money when we have health insurance. We have it because we're worried that something terrible is going to happen. But if we saved all that money, we wouldn't have to worry about it, because we'd have that money for doctors that could actually help us in an hour instead of spending 4 years wasting our money.
Everyone's hearing the undercurrent of a beautiful concept of the word revolution. Violence has given revolution a bad name. Walt Whitman was a revolution. Okay? That atonal music was a revolution. Most of the revolution's history didn't hurt anybody. They may have confused some people. But we need revolution. And if you're like dragging through life and you're having a hard time, you can tag on to revolution and be more, you're going to be labeled, you're so energetic. And I'm 66, and I'm on fire. You know, and I'm on fire, and I've exercised regularly all my adult life, so I'm kicking at 65, and I'm wondering when aging is going to show.
Look out.
Yeah. Wait, can you have the microphone, please? Or were you going to do something? Okay, you're next. Don't go far.
Okay. A couple of years ago, I did a news interview with the head of visiting nursing in Washington State. And she said, well, we don't have a healthcare system, we have an illness system. And I've been thinking about that ever since. And I had some sneaking suspicions that things weren't all correct before that, but I've been thinking and wondering if I'm the only person who thinks that the healthcare industry and the food industry are in it together.
Well, the truth is, I have trouble knowing anything that isn't in it together. I mean, greed and power over have done such a magnificent job of raping just about everything that if you study something that's screwed up, you'll find it. You'll find that, I mean, I'm reading a book now, just came out, called The Red Market. That's organs, okay? That's kidneys, Shea Ray, bless their heart, okay? So, there are people raised to type in cross mat, to be killed so you can have a heart. It's good business. A heart's about $130,000. You know, and so they kill the person and take 2 kidneys. That's about $60,000 each. So, you know, the vulgarity of greed, which is sold to our children, and people have sucked up to it. I'm sorry. You need to know how rich you are when your friends are your wealth. Actual wealth, not just you're thinking, oh, nice poetry patch. I'm talking jingling change.
Nice balance between being passionate without being angry, but it can come across as a lot of fire, and this is what we're hearing here today. This man is fiery, but there's compassion behind every note of it. And my one rule in life, I am rather mischievous and I like to stir and rattle cages and get people a little uncomfortable. My only rule is the absence of malice in everything. And you can stretch it. Have an absence of malice, have compassion here, all times, and you can rattle the cages with mischief.
I'm with you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, if you haven't said anything and you're dying for the microphone, come on up. Wonderful. I want you to come up. Glory.
have a story that kind of dramatizes how brainwashed we are, myself included, to accept a system that doesn't work. A couple years ago, I spent the night in the hospital with heart trouble, and it cost me $900. And after that, I had at least 10 different people come up and say, "Man, you're so lucky you have health insurance." Well, just a couple days before that, I wrote out a check for $1,100 to pay my health insurance. And I'm lucky to draw $900 of my money. How brainwashed could you be? I got to figure it out in my lifetime on behalf of me by employers, and out of my own pocket. I've probably paid in $250,000 of money over the last 35 years. And I can miss a payment and they can walk with that money. Man, that's a pretty goofy system.
And if you think that's welfare, if you read books like Take the Rich Off Welfare or Grand Theft Pentagon, you'll see a level of poo-poo that actually it's insulting for it to the poo-poo for me to call it poo-poo.
So swift that the rain won't let it flows 'cause the railing's full. Get your mind off winter time when it goes away. Ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day the bride's gonna go. Oh, are we gonna fly down in the easy chair? Sky that cries and a bird that flies, a fish that walks, a dog that talks. You ain't going nowhere. Ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day and the bride's gonna come. Oh, are we gonna fly? Everybody sing it. Ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day and the bride's gonna come. Oh, are we gonna fly? Now in the easy chair. Kings spied with sleep. We climb that hill no matter how steep. We get up it.
Remember saying that. You know, and I'm a real human being. I have all the emotions. You know, we've murdered 1 million Iraqi people. And, you know, I don't want to hurt anybody. I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want it to be done in our name.